I think he wants to make an impact on the world. I think he wants to leave a mark. I think he wants to leave a scar on the world.
Hi, man. It's nice to meet you. I think you've been doing fantastic work in this, and also I know you've been doing a ton of press. So thank you for your time, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really like your posters behind you. They look really
Thank you, man. Just a bunch of grown man-child stuff back here. This is just a drop in the bucket. I have way too much. I need to sell a lot of it.
I see Michael Myers from Halloween. He said there's some inspiration for Aemond.
What about inspiration?
He served as some inspiration for Aemond for sure.
Really? Tell me. That's interesting. How?
Just like, just through his physicality, no matter how slow he walks, he always catches up with Jamie Lee Curtis. He doesn't have to say much. He's just super scary. The way he inhabits space was something that I used with Aemond for sure.
Oh, wow. I love that. Now, I want to try to avoid spoilers, but something I did want to bring up in reference to Aemond in these first couple episodes is there's a scene where we see Aemond and he's almost like in a fetal position, right? And it feels like it's the most vulnerable that we've seen him. And I wanted to ask, how do you think privately he's reconciling with what he's done?
Oh, I think that's one of the beauties of the character. You're not completely sure, It's like, Aemond's thing, you don't necessarily what's going on inside with Aemond, but you do know something is going off inside there. There are cogs turning behind his eyes. You're not too sure which way he's going to go. And I love how Aemond continually, he continually challenges the audience of what you think about him. In those last 3 scenes of season 1, I wanted to create a character who was just complete darkness, only to contradict that at the end of the series when you see that face of regret on Aemond, recognizing that was a mistake, and going into season 2, you are going to see other moments like that are quite unexpected. It's encoded in Aemond's DNA to a certain extent to surprise people.
Actually, that sort of leads into my next question. Considering where we left off and that face of regret, but what was an aspect of Aemond's personality that you were the most excited to come back and explore for season 2, based on what you got to work with in season 1?
I think it was about exploring that shadow side. Creating a more morally compromised grey character going into season 2, seeing another angle to him. The 3 episodes that I had with Aemond, I wanted to create him as almost like this one-dimensional Black Cat sort of character, and season 2 you are going to see other dimensions to him for sure.
Well, it's one thing that I think that Game of Thrones specifically has always done so well, is taking these characters that you think you absolutely hate, right? You think they're the worst, and then somehow, I think of like Jaime from the first, from the original Game of Thrones, and how you never thought you would like that guy, and then it completely turns by the end. But back to Aemond, do you prefer the eyepiece or the eye patch? And do you feel like his temperament changes based on whether he's wearing the eye patch or not?
That's a good question. I love the eye patch. That's probably my favorite prop on the show for sure. When that eye patch goes on, it really, it kind of makes it a little more claustrophobic for me, and it's not how, it's like the cherry on top when it comes, working on the show is such a transformative experience for me as an actor, from the costume and the hair and makeup, and like I was saying, the eye patch is the cherry on top. Which do I think looks more badass, the gemstone or the eye patch? It's got to be the gemstone for sure.
The gemstone looks cool, but there is something about the eye patch that just rings villainous. Now, you spent a lot of time as Oscar involved in a struggle for the throne on the Last Kingdom, and now you're involved in another struggle for the throne. So if you had to personally get involved with one of those 2 wars for succession, which one of those 2 do you think you'd most likely survive in?
Oh, God, both of them aren't pretty, for sure. You just don't want to be on the losing side. You know, you want to make sure you're on the winning side.
Now, when you were initially cast, did you immediately wiki Aemond's bio from the books, or do you prefer as an actor to not know what happens to him?
I picked up the book and I wanted to. I read from the beginning of the book all the way through to where series 2 finishes, so to speak. So I've still got a little bit left to do.
Yeah.
But I want to save that, you know.
Yeah. Now, if you could have Aemond interact with any of the original characters from Game of Thrones, who do you think would be the most interesting for Aemond to have a dialogue with?
I haven't seen the original Game of Thrones.
Oh, man.
I know. Yeah, I have a confession to make. I've never seen it, and I didn't want to watch it going into this role because I didn't want it to inform my decisions in any way, shape, or form. You know, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, I wanted to bring something fresh. Aemond is a one of a kind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just for fun, if you had a dragon, what would you name it? What would Ewan name it?
That's a good question. I mean, Vhagar takes some beating, right? Like, she really is. I'd probably just keep Vhagar. She doesn't cope very well when she's jealous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to put it. I don't think I would have anything as cool. Like, my dog's name is Dexter, so it just wouldn't be anything as cool as a name like that. Just not that inventive.
Dexter. I love that.
Well, dude, I want to thank you for your time. Like I said, I know that you're talking to a lot of people and doing a lot of press, and I know that these days can be sort of exhausting. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Hi, guys. So nice to meet you. I love the second season so far. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but it's incredible, and it's going to be really hard to not talk spoilers with you. So thank you very much for your time.
No, pleasure, mate.
Thank you.
Now, Tom, have you ever sat on anything more uncomfortable than the Iron Throne?
Yeah, but I'm not going to disclose that.
Now my imagination's at work. No, there's a scene where you're sort of lounging on the throne, and I thought, there's no way his legs or his shoulders not asleep yet.
Yeah. No, pins and needles were real that day.
I believe it. Now, it's not every day that you guys, get to play characters who are both spouses and siblings. So how do you approach understanding characters who have such a unique dynamic?
Because it comes worryingly naturally.
Yeah, that was our suggestion, actually. I think you just, you sort of just very early on, you just accept, this is what's normal around these parts. Mm-hmm. And then you just go from there. For me, it's almost like more effective, more heartbreaking that, not only as siblings, but also as parents and lovers, married couple, definitely not lovers.
Quite the opposite.
At least lovers a couple of times, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we're going to talk technically.
Yeah.
I would say that it's almost more heartbreaking that with all of that in common, they can't find this common ground.
Yeah.
And they can't be there for each other when they are actually the only people that understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a great answer. Now, considering where we left off last season and where it's leading into, what was the most surprising or maybe unexpected development for Aegon or Helena that you were the most excited to come back and explore for season 2?
I think I was keen to investigate his vulnerable side and see, really dive into his fragilities and his sort of boyishness. People often make the comment that Aegon is a villain or a psychopath and all that sort of stuff, and I can see why they might say that, but I see him more as a tragedy. He's a very, very sad story, and I've fallen completely in love with him, and just want to hug him and make him feel better. Oh. So yeah, I've been really wanting to investigate that side of things rather than the villainous side, the cold, calculated, sadistic, all that stuff that comes naturally.
It's between the lines.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I mean, I agree with you too, because I think there are definitely moments when you see like he's trying to be a good king, in this, and it's kind of sad when that rug gets pulled out from underneath him in a way.
Yeah, no, he's not allowed. Yeah.
Now, Tom, you fought Timothy Chalamet in Duel to the Death King and you lost, but how do you think Aegon would fare if he got to take a crack at Henry?
Yeah, I mean, Hotspur is definitely a better fighter than Aegon would be. But I think Aegon, he wouldn't play by the rules. He'd be gouging eyes and biting.
Not the moneymaker. Let Timothy Chalamet keep his eyes.
It'd be biting, using his teeth, getting involved.
I think you guys touched upon this a little bit, but something that I wanted to ask, I mean, especially how you talk about how it's tragic because they can't lean on each other, but how do Blank and Aegon's individual ambitions sort of impact their relationship, especially in season 2?
Ooh. Do you want to take that one?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? Because maybe I will.
Yeah, just sort of, I was just curious. I mean, kind of adding on to what you guys said about how they're unable to lean on one another, considering the only person the only people that are going through this experience, how do their individual ambitions, sort of impact what their relationship is going to be like moving forward?
I see. I thought you said, didn't know you said ambitions. That's interesting.
I think both of them have, well, I don't want to speak for Phia, but Aegon has tunnel vision now on exacting revenge. That's all he wants. There's a line in one of the trailers, the dignity, I want revenge, and that sort of kind of is the headline for the rest of his character arc for season 2.
We've literally got it on a cap.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, I think his focus keeps him driven and keeps him from it doesn't keep him from completely spiraling. They both do in their own way, I think.
I feel like a big problem in the family is this thing of like ambition being a quality that is perhaps more celebrated than other famous qualities that are good in families, like communication and stuff. I feel like it kind of makes sense for Aegon. I don't want to speak for you, obviously, but like something to do with this having felt useless your whole life, and now actually it's the worst. It's at the worst time, and it's you wouldn't ever ask for it, but like it is a really strong sense of purpose and meaning. But I think that all of that thing, it's this thing of this ambition is what lets things like this happen. So it's sort of a vicious cycle of ambition. That's the root of the whole issue in a way.
Yeah, that's what causes wars, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Now, when both of you were initially cast, did you immediately wiki your character's bio from the books, or as actors, do you prefer not knowing what happens to them?
I was intrigued. I wanted to know what I was signing up for. And then I remember going on one of our first days. In fact, I wasn't even on set that day. I was just there to speak with Ryan and Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik back in season 1. And they sat me down in the trailer and gave me a play-by-play of where Aegon goes and how it ends up, and it's kind of to get me excited and to sort of bring me on board with the idea that it was going to be a lot and going to be a lot of work, and whether I was ready for it. And I immediately got hooked on the story, went and read the book, and I just
realised that what goes on with Aegon this season is so exciting. I mean, for the viewers, I just got really excited.
Yeah. Well, we all do. Everyone goes on a mad journey. I
got a lot to look forward to.
Don't like to overthink it though. Just keep, like Phia was saying before, keep it kind of present in the moment, organic, and allow the moment to sort of take you rather than planning it,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. I can't wait to check out the rest of the season. So thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Hey, Harry, it's nice to meet you, man.
Hey, Chris, it's nice to meet you.
So I love the show so far, dude. I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard to talk about this without spoilers, so I apologize in advance for some surface level questions. Do you think it's fair to say that Jace and Bela might have the weirdest family tree of any characters in TV history?
I mean, it's very incest, isn't it? I suppose that could be deemed as weird, which it is weird. But yeah, no, it's definitely complicated. I know if I was asked the whole family tree right now, I think that would at least take half an hour. So it can get quite complicated, and it is definitely weird. I mean, Baela is his half sister. So yeah, I think
I'm a little confused on that because I feel like they're like cousins. And also step siblings, and then they're
stepsister, yeah.
So there's like a lot, but they're cousins also, right?
Yeah.
so it's a lot. Now, speaking of which, considering you guys are like betrothed and step siblings, cousins, how do you navigate portraying like such a complex relationship on screen?
Well, I think I've actually found it quite easy. I can't speak for Bethany, but I'm sure she'd say the same. But because me and Bethany get on so well in real life, this whole thing with Jace and Baela this season is they really understand each other because they're both going through grief. And, Baela is the only person that will really confide in Jace, and Jace is the only person who will open up to Baela. So it works both ways, really. And I think they're a great couple. And we've really had chance to sort of experiment this season with different emotional journeys. And I cannot wait for people to see their finished product because me and Bethany have worked very hard on this. So I hope people enjoy what we've done and enjoying watching Jace and Baela grow up on screen and maturing this season.
Yeah, no, speaking of, that sort of leads to my next question, which is, considering where we left off last season, what was the most maybe surprising or unexpected development for Jace and Baela that you were the most excited to come back and explore for this season?
I think... I'm trying to think of what I can and can't say here, because if I tell you a surprise, it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? But yeah, I think the most important thing for me was to see the change of Jace turning from a boy into a man, and you really get to see them two sort of mature together and help each other mature. And I feel like that's really interesting because Jace and Baela are actually more mature than some of the adults, which I think is quite a funny concept. But I do believe they both truly love each other. Like even going back to season 1, when little Jace held little Baela's hand in the funeral, they've always had that spot for each other. It wasn't like there was forced and was like them two have to be together. They're betrothed, not like a certain Helena and Aegon. But they do genuinely, I think, have a soft spot for each other, and they do love each other. But that's what I think makes it so special.
Right, and there's clearly a very, almost sweet history there between the two of them.
Yeah.
Now, when you were initially cast as Jace, did you immediately wiki his bio from the books, or do you prefer as an actor not knowing what happens to him?
I did the first option. I did my research pretty much straight away. I got to work having a look at synopsis and stuff. But some people in the cast say they've done completely different and haven't read it, which is completely understandable. I just wanted to merge what the fans think and what is already written. So I can, because when somebody reads a book, everybody's got their own idea of what a character is going to be like. And I'm obviously not going to get it pinpoint. And if I have, that's really great, actually. Yeah, I wanted to merge the fans' ideas and obviously what was already written by George, and hopefully that the final product is good, really.
Now, speaking to that, when you initially read the book and saw that, was there anything about Jace that you were surprised to discover once you started playing him? And as you've filmed a season and now you filmed season 2, was there any maybe personality aspect or something to him that you were sort of taken aback by, and you were like, I didn't know that about him when I first read about him?
Just his sheer amount of determination. There was this quote I saw which George wrote, which was about Jace, and that he would have been amazing on the Iron Throne. I can't remember the exact words, but it's true. I didn't realise how sort of an important role Jace plays in all of this, you know? In season 1, he's kind of the kid in the background, but now he's really trying to take the reins and, you know, be important, and prove himself, which is what he's been trying to do his whole life.
Now, one thing I want to ask you about was you started out doing a lot of fantasy work with Gallivant, and then you even voiced a Dragon Quest character. And, you know, now coming back to fantasy with House of the Dragon, you know, is there another big fantasy franchise that you'd like to be a part of once House of the Dragon is over?
You know what? I forgot about all of that. I've been asked so many times today, have you ever done fantasy before? And I've been saying no. So I forgot I even did that. Any fantasy, I'd like to do a completely new fantasy realm. I don't know what really, but I'd like to revisit fantasy and sort of start it off. But yeah, no, that's a good question. I'll have to have a proper think about that. But maybe a new concept will come in, and I'll do a fantasy movie series or something like that. But I would absolutely love to.
Also, what a great problem to have that you've gotten so much work that you forgot about your other fantasy work.
It's not even that. It's just I was so young. Obviously, during Gallivant, I can't even remember how old I was. I think I must have been nine-ish. And I'm 20 now. So yeah, Gallivant, and then I do remember doing Dragon Quest. And I haven't played that game though. The two ones I remember doing is Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Dragon's Quest. So I need to play both of those, I guess. But Gallivant I haven't seen in years. That's why I've forgotten about it.
No worries. I mean, I won't tell anybody. Now, if you could have Jace interact with any character from the original Game of Thrones, who do you think would be the most interesting dialogue for him?
Season 2, Jace, I'd say Kit Harington, aka Jon Snow. Just because they look similar with the hair, and I feel like there's a still of me and Tom Taylor. If you took Tom Taylor out of it and put Jon Snow there, I feel like that would be that would look really, really cool. But yeah, I feel like they'd have a lot to talk about. They're connected in a way, really. They're both bastards, so they would get along very well. They'd confide in each other's feelings about being bastards. But yeah, no, I'd say Jon Snow. I feel like that's a really easy answer, actually.
Yeah, there's nothing like some good old-fashioned bastard commiserating. Hey, thank you so much for your time, man. I really
thank you very much.
Hello, sir. It's nice to meet you.
Hey, Chris. Nice to meet you. I like your wall.
Oh, thanks very much. It's just a lot of grown man-child stuff back here, man.
That's all good, man. It's all good.
So I mean, dude, I love your work on the show. I mean, you've been fantastic, and I've seen the first 2 episodes so far. I'm going to try really hard not to spoil anything, but I think it's going to be difficult. So I apologize in advance if any of these questions are like surface level. I'd like to get into more with you, but what is it about people with body parts in their names that makes them so cunning and conniving? I think of like Clubfoot, Littlefinger, things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a correlation there, isn't there? I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question. You stumped me. I don't know.
No, but what I really do want to ask is, I mean, how would you compare Laris to some of the other shadowy sort of masterminds in Game of Thrones, like Littlefinger or Varys?
I don't know really. They'd form a good like boy band. They'd be an interesting group to hang around with. I don't know. They're all just sort of I don't know, but secretive bastards. I don't know what else to.
Well,
to
I mean, have you figured out sort of maybe what you think motivates Laris? Like, where Varys did it for like the stability of the kingdom, and Littlefinger did it for personal power. I mean, what is it that you think Laris does it for?
I think he grew up so underestimated. I think nobody expected anything from him. I think he wants to make an impact on the world. I think he wants to leave a mark. I think he wants to leave a scar on the world. I don't think he cares about like his legacy or name. I don't think he needs anybody to like know. I think for himself, he just wants to have made an impact.
That's interesting. I like the term scar too. Almost like it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just as long as he leaves a mark.
I was here. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's it. I don't think he needs to carve his name on the tree, but I think he'll cut the tree down.
And interesting. I love that. Now considering where we left off last season, what was the most surprising or unexpected development for Laris that you were the most excited to come back and explore for season 2?
I was I was I was really excited to see him fail. In the first series, everything he did, he just sort of succeeded at. All his plans sort of fell into place, and you didn't really get to see him striving for it. You just sort of saw the aftermath. Whereas this series, you get to see him playing the game in real time, and you get to see him failing and coming up against obstacles, and also coming up against people who aren't buying it, and him having to pivot. There are a few instances in season 1 where he tried something and it didn't work, and you saw him having to sort of negotiate, and it didn't make the cut, sadly. But I'm interested in that. I'm interested in people coming up against obstacles and what they do to get through it.
Yeah, and sort of redirect their course of action. Now, you've done a lot of Shakespeare in your career. How has this influenced your role as Laris? Like, did you find him to be Machiavellian or tragic in a Shakespearean kind of way?
Oh, yeah, I never really know what that means, like sort of Shakespearean, because it's also sort of human, isn't it? But there's definitely archetypes there. Weirdly, I was meant to play Richard III before COVID, and then COVID came in, and I ended up playing this. So it's a strange thing how life works out. But no, I wouldn't say it sort of helped. I don't know. I mean, the writing's great, but good writing's good writing. Whoever writes it. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit of a non-answer, isn't it? Sorry.
No, I he's one of those characters that I find interesting. Like if he turned to the camera and started telling you his plans like Iago, I would, you know what I mean? I
should try that one episode. Yeah, I should try that. Hey guys, listen, come here. Yeah, be great.
Yeah. Now, when you were cast, did you immediately wiki his biography or from the books, or do you prefer as an actor not knowing what's going to happen to him?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. I did do all that. Yeah, I kind of have worked backwards from the ending, really strangely. I don't know if you know his ending, but
I don't know his ending. I
right.
Sort of surface level, like seeing like what happened at the end with some of the major characters, but I don't know specifically about Laris.
Yeah. No, I did charted the whole yeah, but then again, it doesn't really matter because who knows what they're going to keep, and they might change stuff and everything. So I don't feel like it's like solidified anything for me. I thought it was just interesting to see what it did to my imagination, to sort of
because I would imagine too that the devil's in the details a little bit, which I think that you're missing some of the context, right? Like when you just see like the overarching, like this is what happened.
Yeah. It was just to get a sort of idea of the general sweep of the character's life. But obviously, that's before our writers, get their grubby hands on it and flesh it out and change it up and sort of.
Now, maybe you've already answered this because you've already mentioned the fantastic boy band. But if you could have Laris interact with any character from the original Game of Thrones, who do you think would be the most interesting to have like maybe a dialogue with?
Maybe Varys. They could sort of Varys and Laris, sort of like Tweedledum, Tweedledee thing.
That's a great wrestling tag team.
Yeah, it's a great Varys and Laris. Yeah, definitely.
Now, bringing it back to the original Game of Thrones, like as a fan, before it ended, who did you think was going to win the Iron Throne?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
No. Sadly, sorry.
No, it's okay. And this is just for fun, but if you had a dragon, what would you think you'd name it?
Oh, I had this the other day. Alan.
Alan?
Yeah.
Why? Where does Alan come from?
Imagine having a dragon called Alan. It'd be hilarious. I was in a park and I saw someone and their dog was called Alan, and just animals with very, very human names is just quite funny. So I imagine a dragon called Alan. Yeah, Alan. What would you call your dragon?
I don't know. I have a dog. I named him Dexter after the fictional serial killer. So
that's a good name though. That's a good name
that's a good name for a dragon too, maybe.
Yeah, and it's a good name for a serial killer. Yeah, it's just a good name all around, really, isn't it?
The first thing I think of Alan is like after Alan Rickman. So I imagine that's either way. I like that name. No spoilers. Last question for you, but if you had to pick, what would be your absolute favorite episode this season?
They're all 4 was going to knock your socks off.
Oh man, I can't wait. Yeah. Like I said, I've only seen the first 2, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, sir, so much for your time. Like I said, I love your work in this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very kind of you.